Hey, hello, hi, it's your home slice and baby girl, Dami Zain, and I'm here with my co-host, Venxm. So today we're going to give you a little bit of an extra something, seeing as the last episodes you couldn't see our visuals, and I know you lot were missing our pretty faces, so we thought we'd do a little something. Today we're going to be reviewing one of Kevin Samuel's Instagram lives. A little short and sweet, you know. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Venxm, hit the play button, please.
Okay.
Oh, man. Nieces and nephews, kinfolks and cousins. They're like, where's he at? Here he is. Here he is. Here he is. Here he is. All right. Got a question. This is really something that men really are trying to get their heads around, ladies. And in particular, black women.
Here we go.
There was a school, men thought that one of the reasons that there's such a disconnect between women and men today is because women just didn't have the information. Women just didn't, they didn't know. They simply didn't know. They didn't know, and the thought was that because if you're supposed to be so educated and everything else like this, if you just give women the right information, that they can verify themselves, that'll fix the situation. No. Why is it easier for women today in general, black women in particular, to believe a lie? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the big lie, that the reason black women in their prime years aren't married is because there are not enough suitable black men. They're in jail, down low, such and so forth. That lie has been around since I was in my 20s, and it has been disproven thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Yet, every day, I'll run into a woman that'll tell me the same thing. You're not single because there are not enough men. You're not unmarried because you are the most educated. You are the most enrolled. But who has the most degrees? White women have 15 percentage points more degrees than black women. So even the group of women with the most college degrees is not black women, it's white women. White men have more college degrees than everybody. Black women are more enrolled today than men are, but that's women of every race. So saying that you can't find enough men on the college campus and the golden penis thing is another lie.
Pause.
You're not the most educated, you're the most enrolled. And it does.
How you feeling about that? I mean, that's obviously American he's talking about, but
Yeah, I'm going to ignore his statistics because that doesn't apply to us here in the UK.
yeah, it doesn't.
So I don't know about that. To be fair, I don't even know the facts in terms of I don't even know if it's actually still reigns true here in the UK as well.
In terms of the percentages of who's most educated.
But I don't think that matters because it
doesn't.
His argument fundamentally here is that black women lie to themselves, that there's not enough options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're not going to go into that too much. I don't think there's no point in us arguing this because we've talked about this at length in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're new to this, if this is your first watch of our discussions, of our discourse, you would want to go and see a previous episode which is titled Black Women Sport for Choice, because we talk about it in a bit more detail over there. Yeah,
indeed. We'll link it in the bio.
Link it in the bio. But to me, it's not, I don't like the way he's phrasing it. Okay, I don't like the whole we're lying to ourselves, because I still think, and I'll always say, black men don't know the black woman's experience because you haven't lived it. So how are you going to tell us what is true or not true to us?
I hear you, but I also feel like he hasn't landed yet. I'm waiting for the landing. I think he's setting it up, and he's giving you the context of some of the many different lies that black women tell themselves. So some might apply and some might not. Obviously, this is an American college or university type of scenario, which is very alien to us. But I think he's going to get into the realms that are a bit more tangible.
I hear that.
I'm guessing.
And I'm going to let him, obviously we're going to let him finish. Yeah. It's just the setup of the conversation. I've already like checked out. I'm like, he's chatting
I'm the complete opposite. As soon as he started, I was like, "Oh right, so this is."
I hate you because
this is a man speaking.
You was ad-libbing the way New Age Christians ad-lib in church. You was like, "Yes,
Amen.
Pastor, Amen,
Yes.
Hallelujah." That's you.
Okay, Jesus, I'm here. Give me the sermon, bro.
That's you right now. Meanwhile, I'm rolling my eyes. I'm like, this ain't my congregation. I need to leave.
You know when they stand up and they just stamping. That's me. Tell him, Kevin.
Because you fully said right. I was like, what?
Yeah.
You said right.
I didn't know what he was about to be saying, but then he literally, if he just peeled a sentence straight out of my scriptures, I was like, damn.
He was like, he's
going
thinking,
there.
He was like, he's thinking what I'm thinking. I was like,
he's speaking for me.
You need to relax. You need to relax.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on, Kevin. Go on, do your thing.
All right, let's continue.
And the notion that education equates to success in relationships, it does not. Education does not even equate to success in the real world. Because with all the education, it's not showing up where it matters in the paycheck. Women earn less than men, not because of education, because women choose different jobs. Women choose jobs about how they feel. Men choose jobs about things, and it makes more money. Women could choose these things, but they choose not to. So you're not married because there are not enough men. You're not more educated. You're not making more money. What's the real issue?
Pause. So I agree with him on one thing out of everything he just said. And that is that women make less money than men, or we're earning less.
Yeah.
In general, taking race out of it, in general.
Yeah, just looking at
less.
averages.
Yeah. Women earn less than men in general, but that's because we're including other races. So if we're including the white race, we're obviously going to be earning less because white men are ahead of everybody, right? When he says black women are not more educated, he's comparing us to other races in that. And I think because of that, I think that the stats that he's relying on are skewed, because the argument isn't necessarily that black women are more educated than other women, period. The argument really is that black women are more educated than black men, in my opinion. Certainly in the UK, in the UK, ethnic minorities are smashing it in school, smashing it in uni.
Yeah, for
getting
sure.
Those degrees, yeah. But there's a reason as to why women perform better in school. In terms of, it's always been it's an old age fact that women are performing better than men in school. Black girls perform better than black boys in school, and in uni. So I think it's a bit unfair for him to compare us, as in when I say us, I mean black women, to other women, as opposed to
comparing
and also
them
to compare black men against other races, because fundamentally the black race, we're at the bottom of the pile when it comes to equality. You know what I mean? Like, we draw the short straw. So it's really unfair to compare us in general to any other race. So
I
that's
think,
why I'm saying
yeah,
it's skewed. Because unless he's going to
it's
turn around and tell me black men also against white men, I have no problems, no qualms with that. But if he's gonna just compare black women to every other race, that's a problem for me.
Yeah, but I mean, even within that, there's a lot of discrepancy within those statistics because, yeah, if you're just talking about black people in general, then the average is way lower. But if you're just looking at specific groups within the black culture, for example, Nigerians, then it's skewed way the other way.
I mean, we could easily, well, it's not skewed way the other way. It's still the same. But
And in terms of within education,
it's still the same. But in
it's
terms,
not.
okay, all right, I won't argue. But I think we can take it all the way down. We can really take it all the way down to, we can niche it and be like, not just black, but within the black race, Caribbeans, not just Caribbeans. Let's go for people from St. Lucia. We can do that if we want to, but I feel like that's a bit extra. My point is, he can't compare. If he's going to make sweeping statements with stats, yeah, he really needs to make sure he's applying it to the right demographic and doing it both ways.
No, of course,
because it's not right for him to just be like, black women are not more educated. The argument for black women is in relation to black men. When black women of recent, or not just recently, when women have discourse about the treatment they get from men, generally speaking, they're talking about black men. They're not talking about other races. So it doesn't really make sense, in my opinion, for him to be like, black women are not more educated. No, what we're saying is we are more educated than you lot.
Than black men. Yeah, also, the point I was just making wasn't about black women not being more educated than black men. When I was talking about Nigerians, it was about black people, Nigerians, being less educated than other people.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that's the point I was making.
Right.
I just realised that. I was like, why are you arguing with this?
Yeah, because girls are doing it. Okay,
girls have always been.
We're doing this thing.
Yeah, and girls have always been setting the standard in terms of education.
And even down to pay, black women, not black women, women generally earn less than men generally. But if we were to take it to our race, yeah, black women earn more than black men. Because we're in higher, a lot of the time we are in higher positions than guys are. And if you was to watch our working in the UK episode, you'd hear some of the things that we were talking about there, in the prejudice that black men experience in comparison to black women in the working force, and how it's somewhat easier for women to progress in certain organizations or in certain industries than it is for men. Because of that, because of the microaggressions that we experience. So I think already his argument to me is pants. Because what are you really saying, Kevin? Like, okay, he's talking about America, but I mean, I don't know. Let us know in the comments. In America, does it feel like, as an everyday person, do you feel that it is in that way, that black men earn more than black women in America? Do you feel that's the case? Because I don't think that's the case here in the UK. I actually think a lot of women are earning way more. And there's also more recently a lot more like entrepreneurship amongst black women at the moment. And so like we're really waving that flag. And I think because a lot of women have shifted their focus on career, to an extent, it's the reason why there's a lot of older black women who are not in relationship, because they've kind of focused on making their peas. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Instead of prioritizing relationship a lot younger. So I don't know. What do you think? I'm here chewing your ear off about it, but that's because anything Kevin says, I'm ready to argue.
I'm ready to hear what his real point is. But I definitely agree. But if you, with the change in, and I would say that this is it's more of a general change. I don't think it applies to every race and culture, but it's more of a general change, at least I've seen with black women and white women, where career is prioritized. And if you prioritize career, then the other things are going to sacrifice, such as relationships, because they're not one and the same. You know what I mean? They don't go hand in hand. So, yeah.
All right, press play. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Cool. I've said it before. Your mothers failed you in teaching you what relationships were. There is a huge gap between the women who were raised and taught how to be wives and work with men and what they've taught their daughters. There are married women that do this and single women that do this. And until you ladies start questioning your mothers and the other people and say, why did you not tell me how important it was for me to get into a long relationship and build with somebody in my prime years? Because what you've been told is go out and do what you want to do, have your 20s, and then when you're ready to slow down, find a husband. Doesn't work that way, ladies. We can convert Pookie and Ray Ray or Trailer Park Tim. Women can't do that. You can't go from being this to that. You just can't. You don't have the time. You know what? A lot of women get upset because you talk about men and this high value thing having options. You know what men are searching for more than anything else today in the West? They're searching for feminine women. Femininity. And when men find a woman that's feminine, they stop. Stop. Because that's enough. One feminine woman is enough for most men. But the bottom line is today with your education, the ones of you that have it, 50% of women in our community earn less than, 74% of women in our community earn less than $50,000. So you can be as educated as you want to. If it ain't making paper, it don't make no difference. 9% of women earn more than $74,000 a year. Look it up. Statistics, blackdemographics.com, Labor Department, the census. You cannot tell, and a lot of stuff that you guys believe is propaganda. You look at the numbers, and the bottom line is this: unless you are a woman earning in the top 10% of earners, you don't even make enough money to be single. You don't make enough money to be single, but you weren't raised and taught how to work with a man. And whose fault is that? Most women will tell you it's your daddy's fault because he wasn't there. It's your mama's fault because she couldn't keep him around.
Not your mama.
Why is it easier to believe the lie? Because women today want to believe the reason they're unsuccessful in their personal lives is because men's fault. And it is not. It is not. And the women who sit around and talk about how much money they make, they aren't happy either. They're just trying to get off and say, well, this is a better substitute. This is why when women always turn to women like, well, look at Halle Berry and this and that. Look, the women who are happiest are women who are actually working with the man and building a life. You hear a lot of shit on Instagram, this boss bitch and bad chick and diva energy. But you know what? You want to see what really happens? Watch what happens when one of these boss chicks or bad bitches, when one of their homegirls gets engaged, then the truth comes out. And this is where men need to understand it, but you don't need to correct for it. Unfortunately, just like men were forced to grow up sooner in this son-husband role, women in general, black women in particular, did not have a chance to be a little girl. They did not have a chance to be a little girl, did not have a chance to be a princess. This is why so many folks seem to be trying to get what they didn't get in childhood in their adolescence. But it's not our fault as men. It's not our fault. And the bottom line is this, just like when I was talking to the sister, when men become ready to take it to the next level, they're going to look left, they're going to look right, look high, look low. And they're going to get with the first woman that matches what they're trying to get done, and they're feminine. If that black man is looking around and they're not black women, you can't get mad because you have every opportunity to be what men are asking for. Are you choosing to do it in the time frame that matters? I was out last night at dinner, and I was just sitting there looking at a table of women eating dinner and enjoying themselves. And you know what I was fascinated with? That each one of the women sitting at this high-top bar could spit on the stool. I'm sitting here looking at women who are petite, typical female size. None of them drop dead gorgeous beauties, but I'm like, and I asked myself, when was the last time I saw 8 women sit at a high top bar on bar stools, and she was on a bar stool and there was room on either side of her.
I'm taking shots, but that's an African American
That's
thing.
not cap, that's not insulting, but that's just the reality. It's like,
Pause. Is he fat shaming?
I think that's where that's going, but not. He said not. Yeah, he's. Well, he tried to say that it's not shaming, but
yeah, but he is, and he's trying to imply that black women don't look after their physique, and that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a big generalization.
It's a big generalization, but in America, generally speaking, people are a lot bigger.
Including all the other races as well.
Yeah. That's why I said generally speaking, people are a lot bigger.
This is what I'm saying about Kevin. This is what I'm saying, because I feel like some of the things he says make sense. Because I'm here like, yeah, okay, yeah, I hear you, yeah. You know,
then
like
he hits you with
then it will hit you with something left. And you're like, okay, now you're chatting, because ooh, there's an element of truth. There's an element of truth, yeah.
There definitely is.
In women, like I just said, putting aside wanting to get into a relationship, putting that aside and putting education and career first. I fall into that category. I was one of those people, because as a first gen migrant, I always get those two mixed up, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. My parents taught me, okay, for you to make it in this Western world, you need to have an education and you need to work 10 times harder than everybody else. You need to be getting them degrees, because that's why there's so many. That's why in our generation, everybody has at least 2. Everyone's got a undergrad and a master's, because it's kind of like we were told we have to have an education by force. And it wasn't just, you're going to go to school and learn how to do English lit. You're going to go to school and you're going to do law, you're going to do economics, you're going to do biology, you're going to do... You know what I mean? It was them big courses they wanted us to do, because they thought it was a simple equation. Go to school equals high-paying job.
Get high-paid job
bread.
done. Yeah.
Obviously, times have changed. Tech is the new thing now. Everyone wants to get into tech.
Because everything... I wish I did tech at uni.
Me too. Everything's changing. That's the old ways is not the only way to make money. So now it's not compulsory for you to go. But the point I'm trying to make is that from my perspective, the focus for me was kind of double, actually, because it was think of husband. That's why it was like, when your mom's cooking, you must be in the kitchen with her, so that you learn how to cook the food, so that when you have a husband, you can cook for your husband. As the eldest born, you must know how to look after the whole house. You are the third parent for your younger siblings, so that you know how to care for children. All of that stuff was still ingrained in me, but that's probably because I'm an African. I can't say the same. I can't speak for Caribbeans, but I know as an African, it's kind of like the same rhetoric.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Any African girl, and they'll tell you the same thing, unless their parents was mad liberal. But fundamentally, you were still told, go and get a degree and make money. So a lot of us did focus on that. And then the thing is, I still got into a relationship in my early 20s, and I was in a long-term relationship, and I didn't marry the guy. It didn't work out.
Yeah, but then does that not mean that you're not in this demographic then? Because you didn't focus exclusively on education.
What I'm trying to say is, well, I did, but you can do both. That's life. Just because you focus on one doesn't mean that you're not going to open yourself out to other things. What I'm trying to say is, his idea of women of nowadays weren't taught to get into long-term relationship and build, to me that's absolute crap, because there's a lot of women that did build with someone and it didn't amount to anything in the end.
No, I agree, that's a different scenario.
It's not about, what I'm trying to say is, he's trying to paint everyone under the same brush, but to prove his argument, but his argument falls down when you start thinking about things like that. Do you see what I'm saying? And
I hear that,
he
but I don't
also
think he's
said,
painting you though.
I'm
feel
not saying
like
it's
he's
me.
actually,
It's not
yeah,
me.
I think that's why it falls down though, because I think
Okay.
what he's painting is about a particular culture of women who actually don't care for relationships whatsoever in that particular phase where they're
But I just
building.
don't think there's that many of them. There's not that many women that say, I don't want to settle with anyone. It's kind of like the kind of woman I feel he's describing is those hyper, I want to be independent. I only care about making money. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have a family. I don't see myself being married ever. There's not that many women that think like that. Maybe the don't want to have children thing. Yeah, but women did. That's another conversation. Only now I'm hearing a lot more women admitting that they don't actually want to have children because of the stigmas around saying it. So a lot of women were keeping that on the inside. But relationship, I don't think it's that common. So for him to use that as a basis for his argument as to why black women are single, and tie that all up in a bow alongside women have choice and women are not more educated, black women are not more educated, etc., etc. It sounds like he's just trying to throw all these things in there to make an argument, and in doing so, where there's little nuggets where I'm like, yeah, okay. Then I'm like, no, Kevin, no, Kevin. Now you've taken it too far. And then for him to be like,
too much, Kevin.
You done too much. And then for him to be like, oh, this is the reason why black women struggle to get into relationship in the Western world. You're even trying to say it's the same in Europe.
But you know that America think that they are the whole Western world, so he's still really just saying,
I mean, fair enough.
America.
Your mothers told you to do what you wanted to do. And now the information is out there. And my question to you ladies, if you want a different outcome, you're going to have to stop believing the lies you were taught. Because black men are doing just fine in this country. 54% are single and childless, 61% in the middle class, 2.5 million black men in the upper class. Black men are doing just fine. Black men over 30 are doing just fine. And this whole youth-obsessed culture that we have, to where it's driven a lot by, this to the industry, music, media, entertainment, such and so forth. But guess what? You got plenty of brothers over age 30 who are coming into their own between 30 and 40, deciding whether or not they want to go lion or tiger. And the bottom line is, who do you expect these men to get with? And sadly, far too many women in their 30s are coming to these men in their 30s, and you're coming with, at best, too big. And we're not supposed to say anything about it. See, men's preferences become prejudices, but women's preferences get celebrated. We're going to talk about it. Just like when I'm about to shoot this video talking about ageism, a woman talking about she used to be a supermodel in her 50s, and now, look, you are not going to shame men, cancel men, or change the way men pick women. Men are just doing what's called the Bradley effect. They'll stop talking about it and they'll start doing it. In 1984, Tom Bradley, mayor of Los Angeles, was slated, thought he was going to be the governor. Everybody said, we're going to vote for Tom Bradley. When people went into the booth, they voted for another white man.
Starting because he's chatting.
Ladies, you must give men what they want. And I'm looking at that table of 8 women, and those 8 women weren't all married to cardiac surgeons. You saw women sitting at the table, and over half of them had rings on their finger. Could fit on the bar stool, smiling, happy. What are you going to do, ladies? Because the information is out there. And like I was telling the other sister, look, in particular to black women, if you don't want the black men that are there, Maria, Marisol, Jamila, Mylene, they'll be like, okay, cool, because it's not our fault that you want to believe
Kevin
these
likes
lies.
little girls.
And here's the last thing. If you can be shown that what you have
Petite.
been brought up to believe
Yeah.
is not true. Do you have the courage to change your mind? And so many women today, sadly, you care more about not offending your mother, not offending the other women, than doing what it takes for you to win. That's your choice. But do not expect men to have to settle and accept it.
Yeah, I need to pause. He made a point about if black women don't like the men that are available, and then he said a few random other names, which are supposed to be women of, I guess, other ethnicities would be happy. And that was a point that I was alluding to as well in a previous discussion that we had, where it's almost like when you've got options, it becomes harder for it becomes a harder situation for both parties involved, I guess, because how I get that, yeah, black women want more, or they've set a standard that they want,
Yeah.
but then the ultimate standard is dictated by the market, and the market is there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But the thing is, the market is there for both parties now. So
Yeah, of course.
now, like, more and more black women are not feeling like they have to date just black men. They're opening up their market. So the market is open for both sides. My issue with that segment of his conversation is the whole notion that men ain't going to change. It's women that have to have the courage to change. Women are the ones that have to take that responsibility. And I think actually what needs to happen is just better understanding of the psyche of both sides, and then we move accordingly.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be that the woman has to change. The other issue I have there is there's no accountability from the male side, because he also said a bit earlier that women blame their fathers or lack thereof, but it's the mums, it's the mothers that are to blame. Again, blaming the black woman. There's no accountability for how men behave and have been behaving. And I was deep in this the other day, and I was thinking, I think all of it comes, certainly I'll even say to a degree here in the UK, a lot of the perceptions or ideologies that black men and black women have of each other comes fundamentally from racism and the way we've been socialized to see each other, and almost like put other races on a pedestal. That's how we've all been socialized. That's what we've been socialized to believe. And I think there's a responsibility for both black men and black women to challenge our thought processes and the way that we see other races. There's no reason as to why we should be putting other races on a pedestal, putting white and light on a pedestal. There's no reason for it. And we're all educated in this area now. Do you see what I'm saying? How many conversations have there been? How many podcasts? How many Twitter discourses? How many times have we discussed racism and the impact of that on our society? And yet we are still falling into this trap of black men versus black women. Why do black men date only white women or only date outside of the race? Even down to the decision to divest is playing into, in my view is it's playing into the hands of, it's just keeping us down. It's keeping us at the bottom.
Yeah, no, and entirely.
We'll
it's not a win
because of that. Yeah, it's not a win. It's not cute.
It's just a double negative. Oh, we've identified something negative in our community, so here's an additional negative action.
Yeah, and then it's like we keep identifying it. We know now. We know black men tend to don't really prioritize black women. Black men know it. Black women know it. We know that black women are deciding to divest and are deciding to. Some black women are saying we're not even dating black men. Period. I'm only going to date outside now. Tit for tat. Cool, but that's not going to solve the issue. And in behaving that way, we're still demonstrating self-hatred to our own kind.
In keeping with a point that Kevin made about people believing propaganda, I actually think that black men dating outside of the race to a degree is propaganda. Not not entirely, but in reality, if it was as big an issue as it is presented socially, then we literally wouldn't have black people around. There'll just be loads of mixed race people. Like, we'll be gone in a generation if it was to the degree that people act it is. If you see what I mean.
I hear what you're saying. I think I hear what you're saying and I get the logic behind it, but if people, okay, I do want to say that I think it's a different experience we have here in the UK than it is in America, and because we're not in America, it's difficult for us to say that it's propaganda because we're not experiencing
Yeah,
it.
true. It's not a lived
It's not our lived
American experience.
It's not our lived experience. And then on top of that, both of us come from East London, where you know we're in London. In London, majority of the time, you're seeing black guys that are picking black girls. Like, I feel what I see on a day to day, I'm seeing black guys are picking black girls. They might, and it's not that they exclusively choose black girls. They choose anyone. That's the point. So I think in America, just looking at the comments, you know, some of the back and forths we've had with some black women from America since our first time we spoke about this, and even some black guys have admitted it in some of the comments, is that in America, black guys are choosing other races more time. Whereas I don't think that's the case in London. So our perspective is going to be based on what we've experienced, obviously. Yeah. And from what we've experienced here in London is not that. So I can't really relate to that. But there's definitely like the colorism thing, which we've also discussed before, which is I do think certain features are preferred over others, which will circle me back into his petite thing. I think Kevin himself just likes petite women, so I don't think he would ever go
that might be just a bit of projection, but
because I know that black guys also like big boobs, thick thighs,
you know,
sure. Like, and I've got some wobbly bits, and I get guys moving to me all the time, and I complain about my wobbly bits, and they're like
wobbly bits.
Yeah, like you know, little things that girls have, like, you know, like the thigh where the thigh cuts, that kind of thing, and like.
What do you mean where it cuts?
You know when like a girl's sitting down and it cuts in the thigh, at the top of the thigh.
Cuts. Well, as in if you're wearing something and it cuts.
Folds,
oh, right.
Yeah. I'm trying to like. To me, I don't find that part of myself that cute, but guys that like me like that part. They're like, no, that's nice. I like the fact that, you know, you got a little.
That's what the girls them show off on the Instagram. Yeah.
I got a little bit of meat there, like, you know, thick thighs. If I sat on a stool, my thigh will definitely, my bottom half will definitely not stay on the stool.
No.
See what I'm saying? But I hear you. But he's generalizing and he's fat shaming.
There's two extremes. Yeah, there's two. So there's two extremes. I hear what you're saying. I've heard him talk about black women in weight more than once, but I know what you're saying. But I also get what he's saying, even though he said it to an extremity. Basically, the argument that he's presented in longer, separate videos is that there's a culture, in America at least, of unhealthy size, or like, you can be at a weight that is not healthy for your size, basically. And where that culturally is accepted as being fine in America, where actually that's not a healthy weight for your body size. You shouldn't be that heavy.
Yeah. Okay,
and that's confined to the black community, and so he's basically expressing that.
I don't know if it is confined. I don't know if it is confined.
Well, maybe not.
From the Hispanic, from the Hispanic.
Yeah, not
like,
sorry.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't mean the issue is confined to the black community. I mean, what I should have said is he's confining what he's saying to the black community, because
that's
people who are healthy size for their size are always going to be, I guess, in my opinion, more attractive than people who are not a healthy size for their size, for their frame.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, but I agree with.
Yeah, you don't have to.
The only bit I don't agree with is people not being the healthy weight for their size are going to be more attractive. Because I don't quite agree with that. Or more, I'm being conscious of fat.
No, I hear you. I hear you entirely.
But I do agree about the whole culture of being, it's okay to be overweight, and it's down to the foods that we eat. It's even the same in African culture. Like, it's okay to put bare palm oil in your stew as you cook it, or lots of oil in your, do you know what I mean? In our foods. Our foods are highly, like salt, high fat.
High in cholesterol.
It's an issue even across the overseas. It's not just in America. So yeah, I agree with that. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. But my issue is the whole these women all sitting around the table because they were petite, and he kept emphasizing the fact that they could fit on a stool.
Yeah.
Is what makes them. And he even mentioned femininity, which I've spoken about before as well. The idea that if you're feminine, and the thing is, to a degree, it's the men that kind of define what they perceive to be feminine and not feminine. Like, they don't realize that you can be a leader and have feminine energy. You can have a career and have feminine energy. You can make, you can make a lot of money and have feminine energy. You can have an opinion and be outspoken and have feminine energy. That's not what makes you not feminine. Do you know what I mean? So I think I like I said with Kevin, sometimes he says a lot of facts, but then he'll start going left, and it's like, okay, now
throwing
Kevin,
some bits in there,
lost me now, because I was with you to a degree until you said that. Now you took it too far. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree. You did say some wild stuff.
It takes time for a man to become a man. Men have to earn value. Women, you must maintain value. And men value the same things in women: femininity and mindset. You can be feminine, but is it femininity? A truly feminine woman is enough for one man.
Defined it because you don't know what it is.
If you are always worried about your man cheating and this and that, he's not cheating for sex. He's likely cheating for femininity. Femininity.
That's
the one thing in mass that's been taken, especially from Western women in the West, and in black women in particular. You've got an education, you've got an opportunity, but you're changed in your femininity.
See what I'm saying? See what
you look around, and it's not uncommon to see same height, male or female, and the woman inevitably weighs more than a man at her height. That very nature is not feminine. You know how many times I walk into a woman who's 5'9" and she weighs more than me? 5'4", 187 pounds, when a brother's 5'9" and 185. Unacceptable.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to have to stop believing the lie, accept the truth, and then do something about it like your life depended on it. Because ladies, like I said, unless you're making the kind of money to provide for yourself in your elder years, unless you know you're going to have your retirement and everything else, your life does depend on it. Act like you have a sense of urgency, then go ask your mom and them, why didn't you tell me this when I was growing up? Put the blame on your mom and them.
Not your mama.
Don't put the blame on your daddy, because you ain't got your daddy's side of the story.
Oh.
And even after you get it, even after you forgive your father and blame your mother, you got to forgive them both, and you still got to get out here. You still got to get out here, because in the sexual marketplace, all is fair in love and war, and it is all out war. Do you have what you need to win the battle? Do you have what you need to win the war? Not, peace out.
I mean, man said peace. Man said, till next time, peace.
Till next time. Oh, man. You know what? I will say on record, this wasn't his best work. I feel like he used femininity as his main crux, but the things that he was leveraging it against it wasn't really hitting. I thought he was going to land somewhere better than that.
I don't watch Kevin because I don't need to get triggered for no reason. Okay, so I don't watch Kevin, and I thought, let me give him a chance one time. And this is the material. This is the material. I'm going to pick out a different one. We're going to do this again with a shade selected. This is the material.
Venom certified.
This is the material. No, but it shows how he thinks, irrespective of whichever. This is how he thinks. This is how he thinks. Okay.
For sure.
And a lot of men, there's a lot of black men that think like that, or maybe not. Let me not prefix it with an amount, but there are. I can't say a lot, and I can't say little. I can't quantify how many, but there must be. If he thinks like that, there must be others that think that way. And I think he didn't really define femininity. So you're coming with problems, but you're not telling people. This is my thing about people that like to do motivational speaker, right? You're gonna come and tell people what their problems are, but you're not gonna tell them how to fix it. And you saying go and speak to your mama is not good enough. Because there's mamas out there that still raise this feminine woman that you're talking about. And they might not have raised their child differently to how somebody else who is this masculine woman that you're talking about because she's big. Because that's what you said at the end, right? Because, you know, you being overweight.
Well, yeah, that was
being
where
overweight means that you're not feminine. But that's not what femininity means. If we go to Auntie Cynthia G's Who They Really Choose series, a lot of the women that she was discussing in those videos are overweight white women. But Uncle Kevin is saying being big isn't feminine, and because in the sexual market being big is not attractive and you can't fit on a bar stool, men don't want you. See what I'm saying? It's not.
I hear you.
It's not
but again,
it's not make
but the men that are choosing the white women are not the majority. So like, that is also not the same.
But the men that
parallels
are choosing,
to draw.
yeah, but the men that are choosing, I'm making 2 points here. He's overgeneralizing. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah,
because there's also loads of black men that like big women.
Of course.
Okay, I'm not obese. And let's just say that the metrics in terms of obese and all that it's actually a measurement against the white man's body anyway. So like BMI, in order to determine if you're obese or not, or at your average weight, you're measured against your BMI. But your BMI was created off the back of the weight of a skinny white man. So everybody, black men, black women, or other races, were measured against the metrics of a standard that doesn't even relate to us anyway. So that's one thing, right? Second thing is I made those parallels because he's trying to justify why black men choose other races to black women. That's essentially what he's trying to justify here. And he's saying black women need to do better so that we're in the running. That's his argument, fundamentally. Cynthia G, Auntie Cynthia, shout out, she's proven she's got a whole series of how many videos, and she's shown it's not all the black men that choose white women, obviously, but there's a lot of them. A lot of those videos, when you watch them, a lot of the examples she's given is showing you black men choosing overweight white women. Right? So it immediately blows Kevin's argument out of the water because she's proven that that's not really true, is it? Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm basically trying to say that Kevin has based his thoughts, his opinions on this, on his preference. He prefers smaller women.
But also,
on
statistics.
I'm not saying there's not going to be men that don't like smaller women, but I'm just saying that he can't say that this is what needs to happen across the board, because then he's also implying that there aren't slimmer black women.
I mean, I guess he was not talking.
In terms of how I've taken it.
I guess.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. I guess he wasn't really talking about people who are being chosen and whatnot. He was just focusing on the problem areas. But I also agree that while Cynthia's got a series that shows and highlights who black men are choosing when they're not choosing black women, because of the size and scale of America, she could literally make 1,000 videos with 1,000 different black men choosing big women, and as a piece to watch, it's going to present itself as, whoa, my God, this is like evidence. But percentage-wise, that's literally nothing of their population. Do you know what I mean?
Unless there is statistics out there to prove what you're saying, I'm going to struggle to agree with you on that. Because I
totally hear you, but
it's
the visibility part where when you can see it, it looks like it's a big deal, but like,
obviously,
what is it in context?
Obviously, they both have a different rhetoric, and so they're gonna put out stuff that proves what they're trying to say. That's human nature. Everyone does that, right? Yeah.
But his point about femininity, something I've never really considered. So when he was talking, that's more so what my mind was then wandering off onto.
Okay.
And I do feel like I need to think about it more, but I do feel like there is some substance within that, because I'm just trying to think back to like decisions I've made in the past, and where I value certain things, and I actually do think that femininity ranks quite highly.
Yeah, but I would
And
expect it to, if you're a heterosexual man who is looking for a heterosexual relationship, as a heterosexual man, you're going to be looking for feminine energy as your partner, because you're going to want to balance that out. You're going to see yourself as masculine, and you're not going to want something that's going to challenge your masculinity. I do believe that. I do believe that women that present more masculine are more likely to struggle in a heterosexual relationship, unless they are paired with a man that is presenting more feminine features and he's comfortable in her masculinity. Do you see what I mean in that dynamic? But I think generally speaking, if we're talking about the typical masculine versus feminine thing in masculine in men, femininity in women, it's natural for the man to be drawn to feminine energy. And that's why I think that if a woman is in her feminine energy, yeah, she's going to be more successful in relationship to a masculine man. That's natural. My issue is his definition of what feminine energy and what masculine energy is. And I feel like that's where the problem lies. So I agree with his overarching argument with you, but I think his definition of
he didn't really, yeah,
is where there's a problem. That's where he's lacking sense.
because he only really said, if you're big, then you're not feminine.
In my opinion,
that's basically what he said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think in today's day and age as well, I'm seeing a rise of women telling themselves, I have to be feminine in order for me to bag a man. And it's almost becoming like even other women are now teaching other women how to be feminine, but it's almost turning it, the focus is all around man. And I've got an issue with that. I don't like it when women start trying to do stuff for man. It's not for man. You do it for yourself.
Yeah, it's not a for man.
You do it for yourself.
I agree.
Being in feminine energy as a woman is a very peaceful place to be, because you feel.
Yeah, it's not in service. It's not a service.
It's not a service. It's very
more
much
of a temperament.
Yeah, like literally soft life is being feminine. Is sitting in feminine energy. It's sitting in. I'm not gonna stress myself. I'm not gonna I don't know how to explain it. But as someone that's been sitting in their feminine energy for a while, it's not something that you just do because you want to get a man. It's very much I'm just living in peace, and I attract what I attract, and knowing how to use your feminine energy to still achieve things and still be successful. That's why I'm always going on about, especially in this episode now, I've gone on about what people perceive feminine energy to be. Being submissive is a byproduct of being feminine, but being submissive doesn't necessarily mean that you are feminine. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, and looking after your body and stuff like that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be feminine for that reason. So I think that's where the problem is for me. But I definitely agree that a masculine man who is straight is going to be looking for is going to naturally gravitate towards a feminine woman, a woman that's showing her feminine traits more than her masculine traits. 100%. I agree with that. I just think his definitions
it got muddy.
His
it got real muddy in there.
Are not quite right, and he can throw statistics out there all he wants, but I feel like he's used the stats to mask what he's actually truly trying to say. And when I really take the stats away and listen to everything else, it still sounds like the propaganda that he's saying that black women believe. He's still throwing this propaganda out there. It's just the opposite type of propaganda. And then he's not really come at me, in my opinion. I don't think he's come to me with a educated and logical argument. Because he's displayed to me that he doesn't understand what he's talking about. He's just thrown.
Yeah, ultimately it wasn't an edifying video when you boiled it down to what was said.
Yeah.
Other than the overarching fact.
Do you agree with him overall?
Overall, the overarching fact about femininity, the overarching fact was black women, he said, nowadays are chasing their careers, prioritizing their careers over relationships in their prime years, prime being their prime relationship or fertility or beauty
Yeah,
or whatever, those years.
Mm-hmm.
And exchanging femininity for in the pursuit of their career. I don't entirely know about the exchange part, but I definitely agree that from what I've seen of women in general, and inclusive of Black women, is that a lot more people are chasing careers, men and women.
Yeah.
But I guess it's always been the case for men, and men have always also chased women at the same time, whereas I think more women are chasing, like literally focused on career, trying to really get ahead, obviously because there's a lot more boundaries in place for women with regards to maternity and the pay gap, and obviously once you've had a child, how much more can you progress in your career? There's a lot more, and life is harder and women have to work. So understandably why we've got to a place where women are much more career driven. But I definitely agree that women are much more career driven, like with like blinders on, like focused. And then, I agree that's to their detriment, because at that exact same time, regardless what you're doing, men are going to be doing the exact same thing that we're always doing, which is looking for a partner. And if they find someone who's right, then they're just going to lock it down. So if a certain demographic, in this case being Black women, are focused on their career at the same time where Black men are doing the same thing that all men are doing, just looking for a partner, then they're going to miss the boat. So I definitely agree with that portion of it, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I think that's the bit that I definitely agree with as well. Everything else I'm not too sure about. But the thing is, I think I agree, both men and women are chasing money, and then they get to a certain point and then they're like, okay, now I want to settle. I don't think men look for a relationship from the get-go. I think they definitely do the same thing as women.
They're just testing the water with whatever.
Yeah, I think the difference is that men have a slower ticking biological clock than women. Because men, your fertility, it does decline. As much as men can have babies till they're 100, scientifically, the quality of the sperm decreases as you get older. With women, because we're born with all of our eggs, we lose our eggs, and then when you've lost your eggs, that's it for you. So that's the difference fundamentally. So women have less time, and so I do agree with him when he says, when he talks about that in that way, the way you've explained it and the way he's explained that element, I agree with. Everything else, I'm throwing it into question. But yeah, we didn't want to go into too much detail in terms of our review of this. We just kind of wanted to have a general conversation. If you guys want to see us unpick any elements of this in a lot more detail, do let us know in the comments. Similarly, if you enjoyed this video or this style of content, do let us know. So we're testing out a few things just to see what else we can bring to you. So, we want to make sure that we're providing stuff that you are interested in. So let us know that as well. And similarly, like we say every single time, let us know your opinion on what Kevin said, on our opinions on what he said as well. Drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this episode and you're new here, welcome. Subscribe. Those of you that are returning, and if you came from the last episode and you came and watched a bit more with this, thanks for coming by. Until next time, everyone. Wait. Before we go, socials will be at the bottom of the screen as usual and in the description. But yeah, that part. But yeah, until next week, guys. Peace.